bienvenue, what is up guys, and welcome back. Can we just agree that the Resi animated universe is infinitely better than any live-action adaptation they have ever made? This actually seems like a running theme with animated universes like the DCAU. I'm not saying that the animated movies are good. Resident Evil at its core is absolutely ridiculous. Regardless of the seriousness of the subject matter, which is becoming alarmingly more of concern in our own reality. They are more over the top than Hollywood action films, and I mean that in the absolute best way. I don't watch Resident Evil movies for the plot. I watch them for Leon, pulling off increasingly impossible feats or daring heroics. And his one-line.
How many of these are there?
I ain't stopping to count. Zero.
What?
You wanted to know how many there were?
Seriously, whoever thought of putting Leon and Jill together in Death Island, well, that was just a stroke of genius. For those of you who don't already know, Death Island takes place after Vendetta, and this is the first time we see Jill coming back into the field after the whole horrible business with Wesker in Resi 5, where Jill is basically mind controlled to try and kill Chris and do all of Wesker's bidding. That's one thing I actually appreciate about Resident Evil, is they actually tackled the trauma. And by tackle the trauma, I don't mean that they actually deal with it, but they do acknowledge it. I mean, these are not feel-good films. I mean, this is not a level of storytelling that you usually get in video game universes, at least not until recently. But this is actually something that Capcom has been doing since the 90s. It's almost like they saw the trajectory of these huge cinematic video games and the influence of these intricate, character-built universes. I love video games with good stories, and if a studio can pull off a good adaptation or an extension of the world, even better. Death Island's roots reach all the way back to Raccoon City. This is the beginning of all. This is the original survivors: Claire, Leon, Chris, Jill, and Rebecca. And once again, they are forced to face down the product of Umbrella's greed and cruelty. There's another thing that Resident Evil does so well, and that's create a very sympathetic villain. I mean, you're not always sure who you want to root for. That is until one of them inevitably injects themselves with some terrible concoction and transforms themselves into a disgusting, murderous bioweapon. I will never understand people's thought process on that one, like, this is the next step in evolution, absolute power. Like, dude, you're wearing your insides on the outside and you have way too many eyeballs. Like, hard pass. I've been a fan of Resident Evil for a while. I remember playing the games when I was a kid. In fact, I own several on GameCube. Actually, I think I still own several on GameCube, but it wasn't until the remakes started coming out that I really got invested in the series. If you're a Resi fan, this is definitely a film you want to watch, especially for the CG animation. I mean, Resi is really on top of the game, especially with some of the cinematic camera work. And it's always a hoot to see Leon and Chris together, because those two together are just chaotic, and I love it.
You know how to use this? It's got a trigger, doesn't it?
Not to mention that we have ridiculous, completely over-the-top action sequences and superhuman abilities, plus sex appeal. Just the fact that we get to see all the legacy characters work together makes this film a worthwhile watch. We haven't had all 5 of them together in ever. The one thing that does drag down what should be a really high-paced action adventure is, well, the monologuing and the grandstanding. They could definitely learn from the whole adage of show, don't tell. It's the typical villain speech and monologue and explanation that inevitably pulls everything to a screeching halt. And the dialogue. I mean, Resident Evil has never been known for its particularly witty repartee and concise communication, so it leaves the very talented voice actors just a little stilted. Still, it's a super fun time, and fans will definitely appreciate the addition to the Resident Evil lore, plus the explosions and the disgusting zombies and the sex appeal. But that's it for now, so peace out.
I hope this works. Definitely going on vacation after this.